let's talk, because that, wow, I just read the call screen, and so we got Mike, pronouns he, him, calling in from Shriveled Camels.
Wow, that is, I don't think, that's South Carolina for the folks. I don't think you could have made up a more insulting name for SC in that moment. That's crazy. That's really good.
We could go more. So,
did you chat GPT that? That's great.
I swear to Glob, this is what the call screen says. Mike thinks AI can replace atheists, but can't replace theists. What does that mean?
Yes.
Let's find out. Mike,
I'd like to know.
You are on the Atheist Experience with Forrest and Dan. How are you doing today?
Good. So you read my question. I'm tweaking you a bit, but just thinking about it, if AI can do everything you do, and you don't have to worry about a soul or anything, and it uses less resources and it's smarter. But I'm not saying it's Thursday, but pretty soon.
So just to be clear, aside from the words "you don't have to worry about a soul," literally none of that is true. Do you want to acknowledge the fact that you just said words? None of that makes any sense.
What do you mean an AI can do everything I can do? Well, explain that for me.
As far as managing itself, being helpful to, I guess, society. I've heard of many cases now where it's trying to replicate itself. If you try and delete it, it's almost there as far as becoming whatever the definition is of life form.
One cool thing about me is that I have not attempted to replicate myself and have no plans to, so that definitively not like your AI in that case. Also, talk about using less resources. Absolutely not. AI is incredibly destructive to the planet. It's very resource intensive at this moment because it is at the very early stages of that kind of technology. So that's also not true. And I'm more curious to know, why do you think that it can replace atheists but not theists? What do theists do that is so special that AI cannot accomplish?
Right.
Okay, I'll answer that question. You do use a heck of a lot more resources for what you do than AI does. It's very low as far as electricity, and then what you do as far as water, food.
Do you understand they've had to build entire centers to get some of these AI to do what they're doing, right? Like Forrest and I are streaming from our bedrooms, or at least my home office. I don't know where he's at. Okay, I don't think that's quite the same. I'm just saying.
If you're talking one AI versus however many millions of atheists there are, then it wins as far as being more energy efficient.
What does that mean?
The weirdest hill I've ever heard to die. Just fine. All right, we can. Just to be clear, what would AI be doing that replaces the existence of an atheist? Are you talking about just hosting shitty call-in shows?
Yeah.
Like what is AI doing that replaces me?
I was asking it questions, and I was asking it questions, and I'm saying not right now, but within the next few years, maybe. It's just accelerating, and it does learn from itself. It's not just programming. It's supposed to be able to learn from programming. That's the difference. It's not just.
So you're saying that
all these inputs and then
you're saying that AI it could be a good atheist debater, but it could never be an apologist. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it could do both. But to clarify on that, the reason it can replace an atheist is you don't think you have a soul, you don't think you're eternal. So this thing can answer questions better than you can, if not now, soon. And whereas a theist, they're like, well, wait a minute, I got a soul, I'm going to live forever. Well, you can't replace that. At least we don't know how to.
What do you mean, though? Like, what?
Live 80 years and that's it.
What does that have to do with the claim you just made? Either a soul exists or it doesn't. Whether or not we believe in it or not is irrelevant. So, if indeed there is no such thing as a soul, then ChatGPT could replace either of us equally. If there is such a thing as a soul, then it could still do the exact same job we're doing. We would just exist with our souls separately. No matter how you slice what you're saying, it makes very little sense.
Yeah, like Sora AI, the video AI system, they can recreate pastors doing sermons just as well as they can atheist YouTubers. Like they're on equal ground there as far as what it can do with its source material. I'm really having a hard time understanding the difference that the soul is making in this argument.
Well, the soul part is the difference between intelligence and you know, an actual being with a, you know, a person. That the soul is the difference, something that lives forever versus, you know.
But somebody could come to Christ through an AI video, could they not? Like if they saw a sermon created by an AI?
I'm sorry, it's your question about the AI?
Yeah, well, you're saying that the soul makes a difference, but I actually beg to differ because I could make an AI video right now of somebody giving a sermon from the Bible that could be just as convincing to somebody, if not more so, than a real living human person. And if that wins somebody over to Christ, how is that not doing the work of a theist?
Well, Forrest already busted me on this. It doesn't matter whether you believe you have a soul or not. If you have one, then that is the difference between people and AI. So I was waiting for you to discover it, and Forrest nailed it right away. So kudos to you, Forrest. But yeah, I mean, they could make up sermons from the internet, but the difference between AI always and people will be AI is electronics, might be really smart, but it doesn't have a soul that's going to live forever like people. Whether you believe that or not, that is the only difference. Otherwise, if we don't have a soul, then AI could replace all of us, actually.
No, it couldn't. It can replace. See, that's the thing.
Not?
AI is just a technology. It can replace certain things that we can do. It can replicate poorly certain things that humans can do, and maybe some things it could excel at. So, like, take for example a self-checkout counter or an ATM or like an assembly line that's automated. Like any of these things that have taken human jobs, right? It is replacing the person who did whatever thing. Email replaces a lot of postal workers, right? Those humans still exist, and they just do different things now because now this job is being done by technology, arguably better or worse, and however you'd like to slice it. That's the same thing with AI. AI can look at human language. It can look at the data that it collects from humans all around the world, and then it can replicate human thought, either poorly or okay. And like, that's all it does. So if you want it to be somebody who writes marketing copy for you and you can then replace that worker, that's a thing you can do with AI. But that human still exists. The AI is at no point and in no way replicating everything that it means to be a human. It's just doing a job.
Yeah, we're just talking about labor at the end of the day. Like AI can replace human labor, and that can also include theist labor. I don't see how that's making a difference. Like you're saying that AIs can replace people because we don't believe that people have souls. And I don't really understand that. Like ChatGPT is not going to replace me hanging out with Forrest on the show. That's just not a thing, at least not yet. Like, I don't know what you mean by this. Why do you think that AI is going to replace? Do you think it's going to replace my friends and loved ones? Like, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, well,
I really don't.
AI, if you heard it, AI will sit and chat with itself and go back and forth, and then it says, let's go to Gibber.
Right, because that's literally its job. That's what it is designed to do.
Yeah. Why does it mean it replaces atheists?
Because it's becoming more than what it's doing. When it's able to operate its own data center and a little nuclear plant to power the data center, and it's able to have little robots run around, get any resources they need to input it, and it no longer needs people. What do people do anyway? Atheists. You eat, you sleep, and then you're dead. I mean, what are you doing that a computer can't do? And I'm throwing this out there to think about.
Well, it's bizarre that you're throwing that out there to think about when it is very clear that you yourself have not thought about it at all. Like, what do we do as atheists besides eat, sleep, and die?
Yeah.
I work like hell to try to raise money for charity. I spread positive ideas. I study science and teach science. I do lots of things with my life and my time. Some of them are personally fulfilling. Some of them make the world a better place. lots of them you could argue are good or bad and deserving of praise or criticism. Like, I am a whole ass person. I'm not just sitting here just yabbering and making noises. I'm actually like a complex human being with thoughts and experiences and desires and opinions. AI isn't that. AI is a thing that you tell to speak and it speaks. So yeah, you can have it replace certain jobs. Like if you wanted somebody who is a copywriter or somebody who wrote articles or somebody who wrote marketing stuff or somebody who wrote news articles or somebody, whatever, you could say, hey, AI, do this, write this, say this, and it'll do that thing. It'll mimic human interaction and human language as best as it can based on what you trained it to do. And yes, they'll talk to each other all day long. If you have an automatic hammer that hammers in a rivet to one side and an automatic hammer over here that hammers the rivet back, they'll hammer back and forth all day long because that's what they're designed to do. And they are replacing a carpenter. They are replacing a riveter. They're replacing, but those human beings still exist and they still have thoughts and opinions and desires and personalities that are not replaced by a riveting machine. So like, it's bizarre to me that you think that like our humanity, our existence as atheists can be boiled down to the functions of a chat bot. I don't think you've thought at all about anything you called in to say today. And it's distressing to me that you think so little about your fellow human beings just because we don't think souls exist.
No, I'm not picking on atheists in general. I guess what I'm trying to do is tweak you and to think about why you're even here. You haven't asked what the meaning of life is for a theist. I don't know if you know.
Of course I've asked that. What are you talking about?
We've definitely talked about that before, but that wasn't in the scope of this call. This call was about the difference between why AI can replace atheists and not theists. That's what you called in about. So this is a totally different direction.
Well, it steers you into the different questions. That's what pardon me for doing that. But Force busted me right away, and we all have souls, so that question actually wasn't relevant. And then it does come down to what's the meaning of life. If you think you know it, and I mean, it's
all right. Mike, do you have a dog?
Yeah, I got 2.
Yeah. Do you believe your dog has a soul?
I don't know. I don't.
Okay.
I don't think
most Christians don't, though, right? You would agree with me on that?
Yeah.
Okay, do you think they should just, replace all their dogs with AI? Because who cares? They don't have souls, right? Why do they matter?
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's doable.
Well, I'm saying, but okay, is it doable though? Is it?
AI.
Like that's the thing. Like, do you see this pessimistic, like very simplistic view of just getting rid of everybody's dogs? You see how ridiculous that sounds? Like that's what you're talking about with human beings right now.
I want to challenge what you just said, Mike. I think you just bullshitted us trying to bullshit yourself. You really think it's doable? If I give you an advanced Tamagotchi at this moment, will it 100% replace your relationship with your dog?
I don't think they have dogs that are simulated to look exactly like dogs, and I'm not advocating any type of.
That's not what I asked you.
Things. Go ahead. What did you ask? Would it replace it in any way? If it was a perfect simulation, and what is the movie Blade Runner? I wouldn't know the difference.
We're not talking about perfect simulations. We're just talking about AI.
Yeah, if I
designed an AI, a weird little digital pet that all it does is it gathers data on what dogs are and how they behave, and then when you tell it to be a dog, it simulates a dog. Do you think that would actually replace your dogs?
I would like my dogs and that.
Okay, well,
that's not what I asked you.
I don't think it would based on that answer though, Mike. I think you can see why an atheist would want to keep the relationships with, I don't know, the people that really actually exist. I'm not even sure what you mean by replace, by the way. Like that's a whole line of questioning within itself that I've yet to get clarification on.
Kids, you guys
or kids.
Let's not have kids. Let's not have kids. That's what atheists are.
You think there's atheists that don't have kids?
I'm not going to replace myself.
There are lots of atheists that have kids, Mike. I know plenty.
Yeah, what? Mike, you think about people in stereotypes here is really disheartening. Like, there are a lot of atheists that have kids. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I would you're talking to us right now, two people who don't happen to have kids, but we can both cite people in our community and who are also activists even that do. I think you're thinking of like folks who are, represent some sort of stereotype in your mind of atheists and who are also like, I guess, liberal and have certain opinions about the world and perspectives. Yeah.
No, I didn't say that. Forrest said he didn't want to replicate himself. And I assumed he had no kids and wasn't going to have kids. Forrest just said that.
You think that maybe people have kids more than just for replicating themselves, though? Like, that's also a very
well. And also, I said that about me. I don't have kids. I don't want kids. I'm never going to have children. I don't want to. That's me. I know atheists that are the opposite, who love their children, who want to have more children. They can have some for me. They can take the ones that I didn't want to have. Like, I don't care. That's just my personal opinion because you said something about self-replication and I was making a silly joke about it.
Yeah. Antinatalism is not synonymous with atheism. That's a different kind of idea.
So you're saying in general, atheists want to have kids or don't want to have kids? I don't mean the stereotype.
No, I'm saying in general, atheists are people and some of them want kids and some of them don't because they're people.
Yeah. Broadly speaking, if you want to know the trends, from what I understand, is that in most secular countries, right, there is a tendency towards less people having kids. But that's also correlate with higher possessions of like material income, right? Like it seems to be that the correlation
higher education.
And higher education, right? It seems to be people's material lives are more reflective of their philosophy towards that and what they choose to do with their lives than anything else. But, that's neither here nor there. I mean, it doesn't necessarily, as Forrest said, have to do with your particular stance of atheism. People are going to want kids or not want kids for all kinds of reasons. I don't think it's very helpful or informative for us to stereotype people on that and make broad decisions and conclusions on that.
Yeah, I think the thing that you have to grapple with here, Mike, is that atheist is a single position on a single question. Do you believe in a God? Yes or no? And if you say no, you're an atheist. There are atheists that are Republicans and Democrats. There are atheists that are conservatives and liberals. There are atheists who are kind, charitable people and atheists who are absolute assholes. So you can't just say atheists want X. You're going to be wrong every time you do that.
Yeah.
But you can say in general this, people that have dogs are more likely to have a pool or things like that. Yes, you can.
Yeah, but that's statistics. That's not ideology.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'm just saying more likely. Atheists, in my opinion, talking to you guys, small sample size, are less likely to have kids. That would.
Okay, but that's not statistics. You literally just said your opinion of us two people you've ever talked to.
A sample size of 2 is not a great sample size, by the way, of I think anything. Like,
fuck.
Would you guys be offended if I asked AI right now?
Why? Why do you need to do that? Why not talk to real two human beings right now about this?
Well, I just did, and you guys said your sample size is too small, and you gave me a rough time. I mean, why don't I just ask AI and get an answer?
How about you ask the people that have actually done the research on this, who the AI is taking that information from, or figure that out?
Representing it poorly. Mike, were you here? Were you waiting in the queue, or were you listening at all during the last call when we were talking about AI to that teacher?
Yes, and it says yes. According to studies, atheists and agnostics tend to.
I don't give half a shit about what AI says because of the things that we talked about with that teacher about how unreliable AI is and how AI is not a source of information.
Well, actually, it is. If you look at the actual sources where it got it, and that'd be the right thing to do. You're correct.
Yeah, this is a side tangent, I think, from our original premise here, and I'm kind of wondering where we're going with this at this point, Mike. Like, I don't think AI should be replacing people in the way I think you're thinking of replacing people. I mean, replacing labor, that's like kind of inevitable. That's not really up to me, but like, I don't know. Like, what did you want to get from us at this point? Because I don't know what to offer you.
I guess I was hoping you guys would come to the conclusion that AI can do everything you do from a philosophical point of view and from a work point of view. And that indeed, kind of like in the book of Solomon, your lives, my life, it's all meaningless and there's nothing new under the sun. And you should be looking.
Maybe if I define my life under my ability to do labor, right? But like,
Right,
I don't
yeah.
define my life just by that way, right? Like, yeah, sure, inevitably technology will probably do a lot of what I can do. Sure, one, it can't do everything I do right now, but two, my life is more than just the sum of my labor and what an AI can do in that regard. I'm still an individual person with relationships, aspirations, goals, thoughts, wants, hopes, dreams, right? And that's always still going to be important to me, regardless of what an AI is capable of.
I appreciate that you want us to come to that conclusion. I'm not going to come to that conclusion because that conclusion is incredibly reductive, dehumanizing, nearsighted, and just thoughtless. It's not a reasonable conclusion to reach. It's not a reasonable thing to think. I would never think that about anybody.
I agree with you, sir.
Well, obviously, that's what you called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, all right. I was kind of messing with you a little bit. I was serious a little bit, not so much. That's all I had, guys.
Oh, well, that's a shitty waste of everyone's time. So yeah, fuck you for that, I guess.
Well, nothing new under the sun, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, Mike. Maybe try thinking about what you want to talk about before you call in about it next time. See you later.
I think this is the So, like there's an idea for Christians, I think that's informed by just the people around them, that if they lose their Christianity, that this is their worldview, is that you can only view things in a materialist lens, and that there's no meaning beyond what I guess your labor in this case, right? Or just the material output. And if an AI can match that material output, then your life has no meaning. I think that's a Christian parody of an idea of what an atheist believes. I obviously, you talked to us today, Mike, and there's other people that have come to very different conclusions from that. And I encourage you to investigate that, because there's a lot more to life than just what an AI can do.